Hi, let's start with the first project just to figure out how the interface for SAS Enterprise Miner works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a sample data set, and I'm going to create a chart using the data in the data set just to show how the interface works. This is just a first exercise. So the first step is that I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to click new project in the menu, then I click next, and I'm going to call this cosmetic sales. Cosmetic sales. That's what the database or the data set is about. The name has to be unique. If you have a similar name, then you have to use a number or something else so the project is unique. So all the projects that you create are going to be saved in the cloud. I mean, no, in the cloud, in the SAS folders, and every one of you has a folder in SAS. So this is you have no other choices here anyway. So I'm going to click next and finish, so I can create my project. So the first step here is that I want to create a diagram. I can create a data source by the way, but I like to just create a first diagram. So I'm gonna go at the different ways of doing this. So for example, I can right click where it says diagrams and click create diagram, or I can go to the menu, click file, new, and then I can click diagram. There is even a shortcut that might be different if you have a Mac computer. Either way it works. So now the name for the diagram, I'm gonna call this sales. It could be any name, just the diagram name has to be unique within the project. So now I have created the project. So what I need to do is I need to create a data source. I need to have data or data so I can start working with this. So the first thing I'm going to do, same thing, I can right click where it says data source, or I can go to the file menu, new data source, and there is also a shortcut. Either way it works. So I'm going to use a sample data set. Here, as you can see, I click next, then browse, and the folder that contains sample data sets is called SAM SIO, SAMP for samples. So this is the folder I'm going to use. There are other folders there that contains data set that you might want to explore. I'm using this just as an example. I will also give you files, data sets that I have created for you or I have gotten from different sites, so you can use them as well. So the one I'm interested in is when it says cosmetic. This is, remember, this is just an initial exercise. So I click OK, and I will try to go rather quick versus having to explain every possible option that you might want to follow or use. So I click next here with the table I want to create. So I get some information about the source. For example, I have 5 variables and I have 2,700 observations or rows in the table. So okay, it's a very small table. You might be able to adjust the metadata for the data source. We're not going to do this in the course. I'm not going to be changing the metadata. So you can just leave it as basic and just click next. So in other words, it's like you click next all the time and you just do this. So these are the columns that my table has. The columns have tables and rows. So the first column is group, month, year. It seems to be this is a date because these are sales. So these are sales by date, and it seems to be by state and by SKU as well, and different groups. So if you have questions about one of these, any of these columns, you can just click the column and click explore if you want to have more information about this sort of column that you will be working with. This is not necessary. I can just click next and continue. So what I can see here is that there are 3 different groups. We don't know exactly what the groups are. It might be consumer segments, it might be divisions within the company, who knows, right? But there are 3. That's what it says. Month and year, these are dates, sales and SKU, and the different states that we have. So I'm going to move quick through this, and I'm going to spend time exploring them. I just want to give you an idea how can you do that. So do you want to create a sample data set? You may want to do that if you have a very large data set. For example, if your data set has like 1 million rows, you might want to just work with a sample, and then when you finish working, then you just convert and work with the entire data set. But this is a very small one, 2,700 rows. So I'm not going to create a sample data set. As a matter of fact, throughout the semester, we're not going to be working with data sets that are big, that you have to create a sample data set, in order to do this work. So, it works. This is being next, for every single option. So, as of now, I'm not going to change the row of the data set, the data source. I will do that later in future classes, but not yet, not for this class. So I want to leave it as row. So it works. It's been like just click next until I create data set basically. So this is it. You have cosmetic in the upper left corner. So that's the one that I have created, and I have a diagram. So these are the first two steps that I have to have. So now I'm going to move into exploring what the data set is about. So in order to do that, what I need to do, let me right click here and delete so I can do it again. So just drag the data source that you want to use. You might have several ones. You drag this to the diagram that you want to use, and you might have more than one diagram. So this is the file that you want. So let's say I want to explore, and you might remember this from the lectures that SAS uses this SEMA model. So we have sample, explore, modify, model, and assess. So if I want to do an exploration of this, I click explore, and there are different nodes that do this. I'm going to use graph explore. This is the fourth node from the left. So I'm going to drag this to the my diagram. And now I need to connect them in a flow chart. You see this? I just drag the one node to connect to the other one. You can leave it like this. You can also move and arrange them in a way that you want. I'm a fan of doing this vertically. Some people like to do it this horizontally. That's up to you, really. It makes no difference. This is just for visual purposes, have no other function. So all I have is the cosmetic node with which is the data source, and you might be having to remember this little icon. You're going to be familiar with it. So you can see which icon belongs to a table or a data source, and which icon belongs to a graph explorer. So now we need to run this diagram. So in SAS in SAS Enterprise Miner, you first create the diagram telling the computer what you want to do, and then you run your process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the node I want to run, then I will right click and click run. Want to run this path? Yes. So this version is very annoying. So normally you will have a green check mark or a red check mark if you have a problem with one of these nodes. In this, for some reason, in this release or version, I don't see the check mark, but you saw that as soon as the clock icon, or the icon that was like resembling a clock, stopped, then I'm good to go. Yeah. So it means here there are no errors basically. So I'm gonna right click on the node I want to explore. This one, I want to right click over here. Yep. And I'm gonna click results. I run it already, right? So here is a window to the results. Now be mindful that you might have to you will have now several windows in your screen. Just be mindful of that. So you might have to arrange them. So here, this is a sample table that it was created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click view and then plot. Now look, this option sometimes if you click in the wrong window, let me click in this one that say output. Yeah, let me click over here, output, and then if I go to view, you see it's grayed out. Remember, I have to click the sample table, view, and then plot. So you will get used to this. Yeah. All right, so now I'm gonna select a bar chart. I think we're all familiar with a bar chart. So now the category, I want this bar chart to have, let's say, the different groups in the different groups. I want them to be in the x-axis. So this will be what is called a category. And then I can have the sales in the as a response or in the y-axis. Yeah, and I click next. Let me call this sales by group. In the x-axis, remember we put group. In the y-axis, we put sales. Click next, then finish, and this is my chart. It's not very pretty. Remember, this software is basically it's powerful, but it's not made for don't expect this to. It's not going to win a beauty contest, but you're going to get the data that you actually need, of course. So now if I right click in here and I click graph properties, I can go click where it say graph. Let me say bar. Let me go where it say bar, and then click show labels. And now I can see just the label right here. So remember, it's not going to win a beauty contest, but this is the data. Basically what it's showing is that sales from the group C were the biggest sales. But I can go and create another plot. For example, this could be a line chart, and I can show the sales by month and year. So the role this one X will be the month and year, and sales will be Y. So SAS uses the proper terminology for charts, sales over time. So we have month and year in one column, and here we have sales. Yep, so kind of messy. Yeah. So it seems that we have more than one sales over the year, so we might have to change this. But okay, the point is that now when you finish doing your exploration, I will close. Remember that you have different windows, right? So if you close SAS, you have to start again, of course. Remember, you're closing the results. So a safer way of doing this is going over results, click file, and then close. Because sometimes when you are closing the windows from here, you go and close the wrong one. As long as you remember that, you're fine. But so I just closed the other one. Okay, so this is the first exercise. So let me show you what happened if you forget to connect this node. For example, let me go and put one over here, and let me put another one over here. Random node. I just want to show you what is going to happen. I click run over here, and sometimes I get an error, but I have to be mindful that the error is because the node is not being connected to another one, or it just doesn't work. Yeah. So here I don't see the error going, which is annoying. That's one of the problems with this version. Normally we see a red icon, but here when you try to see the result, you see this, you have an error. That's what I wanted to show you. So if you get something like that, because this one has a problem. So I'm gonna delete, because I did this as an example, just to show you what happens if you forget to connect the nodes. All right, so this is the first exercise. It's fairly easy, and we're going to be working with similar exercises throughout. When you finish working, remember that you have to close you don't have to save everything that you do is getting saved. Just remember to close the project. You want to close the project, yes, that's when you finish. Yeah, and then click exit and exit Enterprise Miner. So that's the best way of doing it, because if you keep closing things, maybe the next time that you open them, you're gonna see that your diagram is locked, and it might be quite annoying. So there is a troubleshooting step. I put the link in the presentations, and there are also links in Blackboard that show what to do. You get your diagram locked, but normally diagram locks when you close the things and then open it again, and the previous session was still open. All right, so I hope that you found this easy, and let's keep working. Thank you.